We all know we say that for you, Vince.
I love that. I appreciate that.
All right. Let's see here. The 30th. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Untitled Show. I'm your host this week for whatever this is. I'm Matthew Weber. I'm joined this week by Mr. Vincent Hoy
Yep.
and Mr. Ricky Williams. We're
What
all
up?
here. What is this, like 2 weeks in a row for like the first time in a year? It's kind of crazy.
Oh,
It's probably not that bad, but it seems like it. Maybe, hey, you want to know what? Let's try for 3 next week. What are we doing next week, Vince?
crazy.
Yeah.
I think we're doing one of yours.
No,
Yeah,
Vince is
come on.
next.
I'm thinking.
No,
Let me think it through.
you got till the end of the show to figure out what we're doing.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
So this week, now, if you've paid attention to our show for a while, through the name changes and the periods of absence from iTunes and the technical difficulties and the format changes and the periodic non-doing shows, you'll know that I am an Archie fan. And I've received so much guff for having liked this comic back when I was in high school, okay? And probably middle school, okay? Granted, I was in middle school about 16 years ago, so that was a long time ago, and I think as a teenager you can like different things than you would like as an adult. But recently, what was this, last year?
Yeah,
They
2015.
they rebooted the whole thing, and doing it completely different, new artist, different writer, and all that. And tonight we read Archie #1. And what was funny about this is I'm the Archie fan, and this was actually Ricky's selection. So, so Ricky, why don't you briefly tell us what the comic was about?
Okay,
Briefly.
so
It was like 15 pages.
yeah,
So.
Archie #1 relaunch. I mean, it was a pretty short. We could get through it pretty quick. So it's just
Intro.
a relaunch, a sort of modernization of Archie, the characters. They're in high school, so they're dealing with high school type of situations, but it's been modernized for our sort of age. So they're using social media, they're using
Color people.
devices. Yeah, there's a lot more diversity, like minority groups and things like they're mentioning idol winners and startups and
Yeah, but
YouTube
even, all right,
stars and
so
that
that
kind of stuff.
American Idol joke, even that is 10 years,
Yeah, like isn't there
too late.
ending?
I mean, American Idol's like, this is like its last season or whatever. Nobody pays attention. I mean, it was popular like 10 years ago, so that's still a little,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, that's the basic gist is just sort of they're reintroducing all the characters. Like we still haven't even seen Veronica yet, but I mean they've introduced Jughead, Archie, Betty, Reggie, Moose.
No, they didn't actually show Moose though.
Well, they didn't show him. Yeah, they just sort of mentioned him by name and Dilton and.
No, they showed who built him. Who the hell's Raj? When the hell did they start adding the?
Well, yeah, I'm sure because I mean now they've got diversity, right? So they've got to add some new names in there and stuff. So
Wait,
we'll
now,
start.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say though, because I think the color thing was something that was really pointed to me. Matt, in the original Archie comics, was Dilton black?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure everyone was white.
Everyone's white, so that's the thing I want to be clear about. Okay, that I didn't know that.
So we'll start with Matt. Let's hear what you thought.
Yeah, he was white, by the way.
Oh.
White with black hair. All right, so like I said, I liked Archie in high school. And all right, so first, I was thinking about this earlier today uh, when I was, considering the reason why I liked Archie so much. And all right, so I grew up in a very, very small town. I mean, like 3,000 people at the time. I mean, you know, and it's like 30 miles to anything to do. And even now, the closest comic book store is about 30 miles away. When you're a kid, there's no way to get to those 30 miles without saying, "Hey, Mom, take me to the comic book store." And that's just, unless you're like rich, you can't go there very often, and so I just never go. But the thing about Archie is you can get these in grocery stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are like the only comics you can find in grocery stores, are at the checkout lane. That's how I found Archie and how I got into him. Now, obviously, I haven't read all of them. I mean, that would just be simply impossible. But I've read a fair few. So when I went into this reboot, it was a mixed mind, because obviously I haven't read any of them probably for 10 years. I mean, it's been a long time, probably since the end of high school. And I actually found myself surprised at how much I enjoyed this comic. The art is very good, much better than it used to be. Okay, so now let's put it this way. You can't enjoy the writing or the story or any of this stuff if you're a mature person. All right, so all of this is very high school. It's very, it's teenage angst, and he broke up with his girlfriend, and he plays in a rock band, and there's the prankster and Jughead. So I mean, it's very immature. It's not.
I don't know, man. That Crazy Glue thing, that's like straight up like an offense, man. I mean, that's argument.
You can tell Vince is a teacher. The rest of us think that's freaking awesome. Vince is like, you're getting expelled for that. Anyways, it's fairly decent. For a reboot, it's fairly decent. I think it's an improvement over the previous, at least so far. Now, I mean, like all comics, you almost, I mean, so the question I have for myself, and I guess you guys, is after you've read this, do you plan on reading more? And my answer to that is probably not. So I'm saying I like it, but I'm not going to go back and be an Archie fan, again. I mean, I'm just a previous Archie fan, I'm not going to go through and all of a sudden take up, a subscription or something. It's just not going to happen. So out of 5, I'd probably give this a 2.5, 3.
Okay, I would go one step lower, and I'd go 1. And I'll tell you why. I don't have anything wrong with like any fans of Archie. I want to be clear about that. But I look at the comic in terms of what it was supposed to do and its intended audience, right? So I look at my daughter. She used to read Archie's, right? Like just like Matt. Like in the grocery store, she saw pretty colors and stuff. Guess what? Bust it out, get her out to read it, and taught her how to read. But the thing is that when you read those things, it's a very big caricature of what it is to be a teen. So the target audience was 9-year-olds that want to know about dating or something like that. And the thing is, there's no overarching story arc. It was just like every 5 pages there's a new story, and it was like a little joke or something at the end, haha, Jughead's eating more stuff, or haha, they pulled a prank on Reggie or something, right? But there was never any real arc. And then I look at what we just read recently. And yeah, the art's great and all that stuff, and I'd say it's comparable to the stuff you'd see in a lot of comics, but it's confused because I don't believe that it's got any jokes in it. I don't think there were any very clear-cut jokes.
You're lucky I'm wearing pants. That was like the only joke. When he showed up to the prom or whatever, you're lucky I'm wearing pants. That's like the only one.
I know, but so there's no there's no joke series that's to have a punchline. I don't know about, maybe Ricky, you can tell me later, but if there's any overarching story line that's driving, is it just this kind of endless saga of epic storyline like a typical comic? And the other thing was, I was thinking, okay, so would my daughter read this if she were 9 still? And no, because she would be more interested in reading Justice League or something, right? Or Batman. My sense is that this, if it were meant for a teen audience and a 9-year-old audience, they should have made it and left it cartoony, right? Like kids cartoony kind of thing, like cutesy, exaggerated caricatures, like comics, not comic strip, and less comic book, more comic strip, right? And then at the same time, I'm going, oh no, maybe it's trying to be more mature. But then if it was more mature, they wouldn't have cheesy, corny jokes, and they would be dealing with sexually transmitted disease maybe, or date rape or something. I mean, I'm just asking, right? And but then the thing is, I'm like, well, no, because no kid would want to read a comic book about that stuff. Because you can, if you want to go dark, you go and read that stuff in Batman or something. But this is something that you've watched like 90210, and this is why I go, no, how is this even? How is this comic, not Archie in general, but just how's Archie in this reboot, this kind of reboot thing? Is this even successful? Like, who buys this? Who reads this?
Okay, so
again, because it's at the grocery store or whatever, it gets picked up by, I don't think this
I've
isn't
never
one where you're going to go through and get a subscription or whatever, but you're going to, like, if you have, preteens or even early teens kids, they're going to see these and pick them up at the grocery store, right?
But
so, I mean, I think that's the audience.
They don't sell these at the grocery store, though, right? Because they
not here, maybe over in the States.
Yeah, I mean, like right at the checkout. I mean, I don't know if they're going to sell this one at the grocery store, but that's where traditionally that's where Archie comics are.
Yeah,
I don't even know if you can get Archie in the comic book store.
Yeah, you can actually. You can get Archie in the comic book store, but you can't get this Archie that we have right in front of us. We can't get that, at least in Canada, in the grocery stores, right? Like, you can't get that at the checkout. You can still get the double digest kind of thing that you'd find like the old days, right? The comic strip kind of funny things, right? But this I don't see as I've never seen this at a checkout, and I really have issues with it because it's just really confused. Like, I don't know who would buy this. Like, you're not gonna give it to a teenager, right? Because they're gonna.
So I wonder if all right. So we're all 30+ males. I wonder if we would like it more if we were, say, 15 years younger. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know, really sweet beer. Everyone, when you first turn 21, you gotta, maybe you don't like regular beer, so you go out and get cranberry beer or regular like apple beer or something. But after a while you grow out of it. Or just alcohol. Period. A lot of people just you go out at 21 and like you got a drink or whatever, and then it loses its appeal. It's kind of like these where I mean you read this kind of stuff. I mean if you're the fan of this kind of thing, you read it when you're younger. So I wonder if our thoughts on this would be better if we were all younger. I mean, obviously we have no way of knowing that because you guys are like 175 or 180 years old. I just turned 31 yesterday, so.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, 31. God, I feel so old, guys. How do you put up with this day after day? All right, anyways.
Okay,
Ricky,
so I wanted to let you guys sort of go first, just to see where you're at. Okay, I picked this because, I mean, Archie debuted in about 1941, somewhere around there, so it's been out for quite a while. And, if you look at Archie has always been a very different comic, right? There's no superhero. It's more like, it's about high school life. It's about the sort of things you face. I mean, even the very first Archie, if you saw in the back of the thing, it's a very back in that time in America. That's what you would expect, right? So for me, I'm very different on this than you guys, but I think you guys brought up some really good points. But if you sort of see Marvel Comics, they're doing this sort of modernization. Like even if you read, let's say, Squirrel Girl, when they do the recap on the first page, they have this thing now where it's like a Twitter stream. So, it's sort of a modernization of the whole comic style. Personally, I think this Archie comic is actually geared towards us. It's not geared towards the younger audience. It's geared towards us who grew up and read Archie. And that's why they even mention Idol, which you guys have said is sort of an older, it's not the hip now thing. They're not using slangs that are now. They're using a more modernized approach, but it's still an older kind of thing, right? Like there's no Snapchat jokes, there's no WhatsApp jokes, that kind of stuff, right? I think they're gearing it towards people who have that nostalgic feeling towards Archie, and they're kind of modernizing it. Now, for me, I liked it. um, because of the fact that it is like there's no serious like superhero arc that there's a villain that you hate and you want to see them kill him in the next one. It's just sort of like high school life. Oh shit, that's the kind of stuff I used to do back in the day. Or, oh yeah, I remember being, all caught up on this girl that I broke up with, and, now you're married or you're, with someone, and that all seems like, funny stuff back in the day, how you used to take it so seriously. Um, I think the modernization is cool. Like they got Betty, she's into cars, she's into fixing cars. There's, like I said, the use of, smartphones and that kind of stuff. And it's sort of showing that no matter how different things get, the things we go through are still the same. So it's still the same prom and people breaking up, and you think that this couple is forever and that kind of stuff. So I liked it. I thought it was cool, and I did ask myself the same thing. Like after this one, like when this one finished, I asked, okay, so am I gonna pick up the next one? And for me, I did. Like I've read two, I've read three, but that's because I like, maybe it's the completist in me. When I start a story, I like to sort of see the ending, and
Like,
that's
what's the
why.
lipstick incident? What is it?
Well, that's why you gotta read to find out. But like.
Before you give your score, I just want to say this before I forget. The next issue, if you're just going to buy these per issue, $4.
Well, see, that's what I
$3.99.
think.
All right,
That's
so
what.
this first one was 26 pages long, not including the bonus first issue or whatever at the end. I'm not paying $4 for 25 pages worth of
Yeah,
that.
but see,
No, I don't care how much I like it. That's just too expensive.
the thing is, if you buy comics regularly now, I mean, that's where the prices are at. Like, if you
No.
buy
That's not
this
really what I'm
now,
saying. I'm not saying I wouldn't pay $4 for 25 pages of something else that
yeah,
I
but
really
what I'm
liked. I just
saying,
don't
if
like this
you,
enough. You know what I mean?
yeah, I know, but I'm saying, like, if you were to read, let's say, Bizarro, which is it's the same kind of thing. It's very cartoony. It's very a funny thing, and it's the same price. So that's what I'm saying is like this is not just, oh, this is the one thing that's out there at this price.
Well,
I
let's just
think
say I'm
there
happy I
are other
steal my
ones, right?
comics.
But
All right,
yeah,
give it
for
your score,
me,
Ricky. We got to move on.
my score would probably be 7. You
7 out
know.
of 10.
I
Oh,
think you did bring up a good point though when you brought it up. I was like, yeah, I think that is true. Like the good thing about Archie back in the day, and it probably led to a lot of people reading it, is that it was in, Walmart or the grocery store and you would see it, right? I think this one, if they did do that, if they dropped the price and they put it in the grocery stores, I think they would see actually probably a better pickup than the way they're trying to do it.
yeah. So now that I think about it, Vince is right that these single issues were never in the grocery store. So it's always the double,
Digest or something, yeah.
yeah, double digest or whatever. All right. So I think that eventually this story will make it into those. It's just that they haven't. I mean, this was only 25 pages long. You know what I mean? So I mean, they got to have enough content to actually put into one of those. So I mean, eventually, I think that this will filter down into those, and that's when this reboot will be a little bit more popular. All right, so let's move into the section real quick. So I will go first. The three of us are attempting to figure out what the hell we're going to do for messaging now that I've scrapped iPhone and moved to Android, and we've chosen Slack for the time being. Ricky and I really seem to like it. Vince hates it, at least so far. Hopefully we can get him to warm up to it just a little bit because it's really actually kind of interesting. It's basically just a chat room where we can send files and messages back together. I know we're not like about. Anyways, that's part of what I've been doing. And the other thing, I started so I've read this book probably 10, 12 times. It's called The Fourth Estate by Jeffrey Archer. I think it came out in either the late '80s or early '90s. It's a fiction book, a fictional novel, which is I don't read a lot of regular fiction anymore. But anyways, it's about two press tycoons. Basically, it mimics. What was the press tycoon? The guy who owns like Top Fox News. What's his name?
He got married just recently too. But he's like, it's not Bernie Sanders. It's Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch, that guy. Anyways, so this fellow's two press tycoons, basically from birth to through the whole thing. One of them's Australian, and they were both born in like the 30s, so they follow him through World War II. The other guy's Jewish in Germany. So you follow both of these guys, and they both are very, very ruthless, buying up newspapers, and eventually they get into TV and all that stuff. It's very, very fascinating. It's one of my favorite novels. It's very, very good. I don't care much for the rest of his work. There's only one other novel that I really like, but Jeffrey Art, that for the say, I really like it. Anyways, Vince, did you do anything fantastic this week?
No.
Hell, man. One of these weeks he's going to say, yes, I got back on and started kidnapping people again.
No! God, man, I wish I could. No, I'll tell you right now, I'm begrudgingly trying to play through that Witcher 3 game, and I can't do it, man. It's so epic long, and I don't even know my story. I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to do with my life anymore. It's just, I can't do it, man.
So it sounds like you need a new game, Vince.
It's some help, man.
He's crying. He's got tears. All right, we'll just leave him over there in the corner and ignore him. Ricky, what about you? You do anything fantastic this week?
Yeah, I got a trial for Audible, and I tried out the Rich Dad Poor Dad book that was suggested. That was a pretty good read. Listen.
Yeah, I haven't got any audiobooks in ages because I just don't have the time to go through them, so I actually have to read things now if I want to read them. Now that I do paperwork, because I used to be able to have it going off in my office, or I'd have it on the way to work or on the way back. But now everything's all fucked up with my schedule, and I just can't get into. The most I can ever listen to is like 10 minutes worth long, and it's just not worth it because I want to keep going, and then it's only 10 minutes, and it's just it's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, so that is it for us this week. Next week we are going to be, what's Deadpool, Vince? Is that a comic or is that a movie?
I think it's this movie with Ryan Reynolds, kind of.
Okay. All right, so
Broke records.
All right, anyway, so I'll have to figure out how to way to illegally download that because I'm not going to. Anyways, Deadpool's next week. The week after that, we'll be reading an epic comic book arc called The Punisher Max. It has 75 issues.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. We'll talk about that afterwards. Anyways, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so. I'm at MTWB. Vince is VWHUI. Ricky's Ricky_Williams1. You can follow the podcast at Untitled Podcast on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Untitled Show. And you can follow us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/the-untitled-show. That is it. We'll be back next week. See you then.
See you, everyone.
All right, I need to grab your guys' attention for just a couple minutes.
Yep.
First of all,